Hey everybody, welcome to our episode today of Developer's Edge. I'm very excited to have our guest today. How did your career trajectory get you to this point? And is this something that you realized early on that you wanted to do? Or did you pick up things along the way through your career and then got to a place where you could do this exceptional work?
Service architect role really is for people who have had some customer-facing experience. For me, that was outside of Akamai. I spent about 7-8 years at a startup called Baynote, and it was a startup of 50 or so employees. I was first, I first had the role of business analyst, and then into a solutions engineer, then a solutions architect. Then I got into more strategic roles of technical project management and then engagement management. So I progressively saw pretty much all of the life cycle of, from pre-sales to implementation. And then of course I was there also handling troubleshooting and calls from customers and emails from customers. So I got to see that full cycle of implementation once, post-sales implementation cycle for our customers. And I think just having been able to be part of a startup, I think if it's 5 years of experience in a startup, it ends up being 10 years just because of the amount of work you're doing and the various hats that you're constantly changing and you're playing various roles.
So with technology and your interest, is it about knowing how things work? Is it about trying to make things work better for you? Tell me about your curiosity and sort of passion about technology.
So for me, actually, I will always try to make things run. But that was never enough for me. So I always kind of was in the security side of life. I always tried to make things run and secure them against attackers. So I was always kind of a white hat security guy myself. So I started into security when a friend had some kind of party going on. You were able to win some dollars, some money to spend at the party, and he had that BRICS game going on in the browser, right? And I spotted a flaw when my AV popped in scanning my machine. The BRICS game became very, very slow. So I just wrote some kind of tool that kind of abused my CPU. So I was able to play the BRICS game in slow-mo because my CPU load was so high. And I was 10 times the winner of that game, and I got a lot of dollars for the party, which I can't recall now.
What are some of the go-to resources that you like to point people to, whether they're getting up to speed or maybe they've been customers for a while and there's sort of a new feature that they're interested in ramping up on?
Right. So I guess, the go-to will definitely always be, depending on the role, of course, but for developers, certainly developer.akamai.com. And, I'm really excited at seeing the future of that platform because there's a lot of great content there. And I'm getting increasing pings from customers saying, I found this blog and it was interesting. How can we go further with this? And they just continue from there. And apart from that, there's Akamai's GitHub repository, the GitHub organization, which contains a bunch of code examples and useful things that you can either be reused directly or sometimes just used as a stepping stone to go further.
When did you first start working with technology? How far back does it go in your career, or even further from there?
Definitely even before my career. So I started working with computers back when I was a kid, actually. Started doing a little bit of programming, probably in elementary school, if you could call it much programming, but just playing with BASIC and kind of what was on the computers at the time. Going from there, just seeing what we could build with it. In high school, I was actually on a robotics team. And so with that team, we built a robot that would compete at a competition. And lots of stuff were involved, all the way from mechanical building to programming. I, of course, focused more on the programming side. Other students had focused on different areas with the robot. But that was kind of my area that I was really interested in.
Are there things that we can do in our messaging, either as a developer, programmer, as a company, to show that technology enables this, and this is a very fulfilling path to pursue?
For me, it's about really breaking that misconception of if you're a developer, then you're sitting in front of a computer all day, right? I think a lot of the girls I talk to have this kind of conception of, well, I don't want to be in front of a computer all day. I want to be with people. And I think that's really a misconception around developer community, about development in general, and in terms of the knowledge of development and the roles that it opens up for you. So as much as we can educate the people around us and the diverse community around us and minorities around us around the roles and the opportunity that by having this set of knowledge on how to develop, it opens up for you.
How does a company like Akamai actually come into play when we're talking about streaming content?
So if you think about pulling a static piece of content down from the internet, let's pretend that it's actually a video file. It's a 30-minute episode of some show. Back in the day, that might have been an MP4 file, so one single object. And as Akamai, we could sit in the middle of wherever that's hosted, likely an S3 bucket somewhere, even our own net storage. We would proxy that, slowly serve those bits out to the end user. And you've probably seen this in the past, a decade or so ago. You'd hit play on a file and you could see your buffer growing and growing. And finally it'd get to the point where, hey, I could cut off my internet connection and still play back the rest of this file because we just downloaded that whole episode. The way it works today is that we do something called segmented streaming or adapted bitrate streaming. So instead of just downloading an entire video file, we've chopped it up into multiple smaller segments that are just a few seconds long. And we've got those at different quality levels. And the reason this is a benefit is that while you're playing back a video, instead of just downloading the whole thing, if all of a sudden you have a drop in throughput in your internet, we can say, you know what? Hey, let's actually grab a lower resolution version of this video for the next few segments to keep it from having to rebuffer. And then we can bump back up to the high quality once your connection is good again. So, and I promise this is going somewhere, each of those individual files is just a small static video file that's maybe a couple megs large depending on the quality. So just in the same way that Akamai could distribute out a static HTML page or an image or a JavaScript file, we're doing that same thing for these video segments.
Awesome. Well, this is such a great opportunity. We've had some great conversations. Many thanks to you, of course. One of the common things we've been talking about with everybody is our developer advocacy program, our developer champions program, and you've played a huge role really in engaging other folks across the company at Akamai in kind of the mold of what you do, which is to really focus on developer enablement and success. Can you give me a bit of a background of the program? Like what was in place as you started in on it, and what was your role in sort of finding the right people to help in this mission of ours to bring success to our developers?
I've been a developer advocate for a year and a half now, and at the same time as we started that program, the team was reduced to a smaller size, and the goal there was to how can we scale up the developer advocacy team with not a fixed amount of dedicated people, but how can we expand that across the entire global Akamai organization. We have about 7,000 to 8,000 employees, and in there we have seen and already recognized some key talent of pre-sales engineers, of professional services consultants that have a very strong connection to the Akamai developer program by itself. They are working with our customers that are power users of Akamai developer, and that of course entails the Akamai APIs, the command line interface, or even the Akamai Terraform provider. So at the beginning of 2020, we recognized that and started this Akamai Developer Champion program.
When someone says Akamai, or when someone asks you where you work and you tell them, does that carry with it some meaning of reputation or innovation that you're particularly proud of?
When I need to explain to my daughters, they're 8 and 6 years old, what I do, in the end I always say, like, Daddy works for a company which makes the internet work. Right? It needs to be fast, it needs to be scalable, it needs to be secure, and whenever you use your iPad or you go to a website, when they go online shopping or they download something, then I tell them that's when our customers use Akamai. And a nice thing there is when my daughters visit a website and it's slow, they really can shout from downstairs to upstairs, "Daddy, daddy, daddy, you need to go talk to this website because they need some help."
Well, I hope you enjoyed today's conversation. If you like it and want to see more, please subscribe to the Akamai Developer channel, hit like, and you'll get notified when we have future episodes available. You can also browse our other developer content in series. Till next time, take care and see you soon.